of Crafton Borough Council on Monday, October 27, 2014, with the flag salute led by Mr. Phillips.
Pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please. Mr. Amendola?
Here.
Ms. Amendola? Here. Mr. O'Brien?
Here.
Mr. Phillips?
Here.
Ms. Weitzel? Here. Mr. Hayes?
Here.
Mayor Bloom?
Here.
Solicitor Daley?
Here.
Engineer Minsterman?
Here.
Andrew Tran?
Here.
Director Kezra?
Here.
Mr. Mayor?
Gary, call a walk. Mayor Crafton, I'd like to take a moment of everyone's time to issue a proclamation. I'd like to issue a proclamation to Father Walt and Sister Jerry from St. Philip's School. Whereas in 1915, St. Philip's School was established in the borough of Crafton, and whereas for almost 100 years, St. Philip's School has provided a quality education to the children in our area, developing both their faith in the Catholic Church as well as educating them and developing their academic talents. And whereas we express our appreciation to the Sisters of Charity of Seton Hill who have overseen the school and lay teachers who have educated so many of our children. Whereas in this time, when so many schools are closing, merging due to lack of student enrollment, St. Philip's School has thrived and stood the test of time by outlasting the other schools and continues to keep its doors open to our community. I, the Mayor of Crafton, proclaim recognition to St. Philip's School for its commitment to academic excellence, to the development of Christian virtues, preparing the students for our children for life and for the world as next. By the powers vested in me and witness whereof I cause my hand to the seal attached heretofore, the 27th day of October 2014. James G. Bloom, Mayor of Borough of Crafton. We did the St. Philip's had the 100-year Spirit Walk about a week ago.
It was, yes.
It was tremendous. All the kids from the school, if anyone was out and about in the community at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you heard 400 or 500 screaming kids running through the community having a great time. And so I wanted to give this proclamation. I attended St. Philip's School myself for 8 years back in the 50s. And yeah. But it's been a great school and an asset to this community for many years. Thanks again. I appreciate you being here
You
today.
know, not long ago, there was this saying that Crafton is the best place to raise your children. Whoever said it was in the newspaper.
West
Crafton is
Business
the-
Week.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
How about that?
I like that.
Okay. well,
Okay, thank you so much.
Pictures with the children. Children up there.
Oh, yes, come on, you guys.
Come on, we'll bring
Yeah.
it. Come on. They all comb their hair, so they look good. That's it. Come on. We know all these little
They're all stars.
They're all stars. There you go, guys.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. I'm gonna do one more. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I'd like you to.
I will entertain a motion to approve the bill list of October 27th, 2014.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from September 22nd, 2014, and October 13th, 2014.
So
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
On any opposed? At this time, I don't have a citizens comment list here. There were no citizens comments. So we will move into the written reports. As you know, the written reports were posted on Cubby and they're available for you. If there's any question, you can go directly to the chairperson and or the writer of the reports. Moving on to administration. I will entertain a motion to open the floor for nominations for the vacant council seat.
Madam President, I don't think you even have to submit it to a motion. I think you can just open the floor for nominations.
Okay.
And if you wanted to do it by motion, you can, but you're not compelled to.
Okay. So I will open the floor to nominations for the vacant council seat.
I nominate Mike Crown.
We need a, do we need a?
No, you don't need a second.
Okay, so I will entertain a motion to
You may
fill.
want, you may want to ask if there are any other nominations other than Mr. Crown.
Okay, I thought we'd do one at a time.
Okay?
I have a procedural question. I know a member of the audience was talking to us and he was interested. We just got corporate approval. I don't know how we handle that.
For the council seat?
Yes.
I mean, if a member of council is so inclined, you can move for his nomination as well.
Okay.
So, since you're not compelled to, but, you know, you can move for his nomination, and then it will be whoever gets a majority vote would get the appointment.
Okay. And are we not obligated to interview these candidates? Because me personally, I know two of the potential candidates. The other one, I don't know who he is.
You're not obligated to, I don't think anything requires you to interview the candidate. I mean, whether it may weigh in on whether a certain nomination may or may not be a good idea. I don't think it has there's any legal significance to it.
Okay, so we currently have a nomination for Mike Crown.
Yes.
So we need to vote on the nomination or we go straight to appointment?
You would have to vote on the nomination, or you could take additional nominations, and then the winning candidate for the appointment would be whatever candidate garners a majority vote of the people presently on council.
Okay, my understanding in reading Robert's rules is first nominated person is who's voted on. If that is not a consensus vote, then we move on to the second
You can
nomination?
do that.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion for the nomination of Mike Crown to the vacant council seat.
So moved.
To actually appoint? Okay. So a motion to appoint Mike Crown to fill the vacant council seat until its expiration of December 31st, 2015, and to adopt resolution number 2014-17 confirming this action.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, then we're going to actually do a roll call vote, starting with Mr. Hayes.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Amendola?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Ms. Weitzel?
I'm abstaining. I don't have enough information on the other candidates.
Ms. Amendola?
Yes. I will also entertain a motion to open the floor for nominations for the Borough Council Vice President.
I then nominate Ms. Amendola.
Can we move in second first?
Second.
There has to be a motion for the appointment. You have been nominated, but now there has to be a motion.
Right, but we didn't move or second that motion to open the floor.
You don't need to, you don't need,
Okay.
you don't need to open the floor for nominations, you don't have to do that.
Okay, so I will entertain a motion to appoint Nina Amendola to the position of Borough Council Vice President.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call vote starting with Mr. Hayes.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Amendola?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Ms. Weitzel?
Yes.
Ms. Amendola?
Yes. Thank you. As you know, we have a borough manager position open, so I will entertain a motion to approve the borough manager job description and hiring advertisement that has been posted on Cubby for your review.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? The only discussion items that I just wanted to make everyone aware of is the committee, the manager search committee, which is myself, Mr. O'Brien, Mr. Trant. We had met prior to the meeting, and we will be changing the minimum requirement for years of service to 5 to 7 years from up to 5 years. The salary will be up to $80,000. We are requesting resumes based on the advertisement to be submitted by the end of the day on November 14th. In the manager's report, you can see the actual schedule, so we will be interviewing in December, reviewing with council in January, and then hopefully the new manager will take office in February. So I just wanted to clarify that. And then we're also adding under availability of the job description, as far as miles and just residency,
Not a residency requirement, we're just gonna add language to clarify
how
that
far away.
the job description includes being available for certain duties as assigned.
Emergency type situations. Any discussion?
Just for point of clarification, there's no residency requirement. There's
No.
No.
There is no residency requirement. Any other discussion?
Although the borough ordinance does state that in there.
Right, so we did note that we're gonna have to make a change to clarify that language.
It just needs
It's
to
not a
clarify.
residency
It's
requirement,
not-
the current ordinance, it's just
Right.
council has to approve it if there isn't one, but the committee was recommending that we further clarify that language.
Any other questions?
We have to clarify what mileage they can wait from borough.
We're just gonna clarify it by adding language to describe what availability means. The committee was hesitant to have a specific mileage or distance requirement, because, or some sort of time requirement. So it's just that the borough manager must be available within a reasonable amount of time to address the emergency issues during non-business hours as described in the job description.
So essentially some sort of on-call.
Not necessarily, but
Right.
being,
Sounds like on-call.
well, aren't they on call if there's an emergency situation? And they couldn't necessarily be 3 or 5 hours away, living outside of Commonwealth of Pennsylvania or the borough, and get here in a timely manner to address the emergency situation. So,
It'd be an emergency situation within their job responsibilities.
Right.
Not any emergency situation, obviously that's what we have a police chief and police force for.
so we just want to clarify that if you do live blank hours away, you know that you're responsible to respond to an emergency type situation
In a reasonable time.
in a reasonable time.
Right.
And that's defined as what?
Well, that's why we're gonna use language, the committee was hesitant to define it as a particular hour or mileage, so we're just gonna say, as part of the job description, you must be available during normal business hours, and must be available within a reasonable amount of time for emergencies related to the duties assigned in the job description. So that if there is an issue, then council has some accountability measure to measure that candidate, or that manager against.
I mean, I guess I'm questioning what reasonable is. Reasonable to me versus reasonable to anyone else. Could be different.
I think what reasonable would be in the eye of the majority of council.
Right, and we're gonna have language in there that I already scribbled here about the amount of time necessary to adequately address the immediacy of the issue, something that council could rely on, but it's not a hard number.
No further discussion? Then all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I'll entertain a motion to approve the 10-year lease with Allegheny County for the District Magistrate Office located at 136 Bradford Avenue.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Moving on to blight and abandoned property. Regarding 13 Union Avenue, the demolition contract award, I will entertain a motion to award the demolition contract for 13 Union Avenue to Continental Construction in the amount not to exceed $9,000 for the base bid as recommended by Gateway Engineers.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Regarding the CDBG demolition slums and blight reoccurring resolution, I'll entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2014-18, demolition slums and blight concurring resolution for the purpose of making application for Allegheny County Department of Economic Development CDBG funds for the demolition of certain vacant and dilapidated structures located within the borough of Crafton.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'd like to ask the manager just to give an overview of what it is for the public.
Sure, so this is CDBG grant money that's made available to communities who have situations of blight. And these grant funds are available on an annual basis. We submitted 3 properties. We were pre-approved for 1 property, that is 217 Lincoln Avenue. This resolution is a requirement that it be adopted by council to be eligible for the funds. This does not mean that the demolition is proceeding, it's just allowing for the borough to be eligible to get the funds to proceed with all the steps necessary to ultimately may result in demolition of a blighted property.
John, correct me if I'm wrong, it was 217 Lincoln, one of the properties you requested to be, obtain a title search for, and we have.
Sorry, Joe. Oh no, my battery's done. We're gonna have to FaceTime you from someone else's phone. Moving on then, the committee meeting properties review.
I think there was a motion, second, and discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm
There
sorry,
hasn't
I'm
been a
sorry.
vote yet.
So hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Moving on to the committee meeting properties review. Who's addressing this? April?
Well, you can start. Can you start? Or I'll start.
I just want to get it moving forward. We've nominated a committee to handle this and to prioritize the blight and abandoned properties that we have in the borough. Now I'll turn it over to John.
Sure, so in ongoing discussions since I started as the interim borough manager, it became apparent that there were a variety of activities related to blight and abandonment. Those activities, however, have not yet been formalized around a particular program that the Borough Council is aware of and actively engaged in. Talking with Councilwoman Whitesell, it became apparent that we needed to move forward on an initiative that had been started previously, but I guess that committee has never met in terms of blight and abandonment committee. So to begin that discussion, we've restructured, as part of restructuring the agenda, we added a blight and abandonment line item here to keep track of all these activities related to blighted properties and also to keep track of the committee's activities. There's yet to be a committee meeting. There was a list generated at the time that the council adopted a resolution to create the blight and abandonment committee. That property list dates back, I believe, to late 2012, I believe, early 2013. So that needs to be updated. There are ongoing opportunities such as the CDBG grant funding that, to be honest, we probably could be a little better prepared for in terms of having documentation in place, having code reviews, code inspections, all properly reviewed and vetted by the committee, and other opportunities will be available to the borough to help with blight and abandonment. There is an Allegheny County program that we are not currently participating in that is on the manager's list for council to consider at some future date to be involved in that committee and that process. And there are other resources that are available to the borough that we're currently not taking advantage of. So the committee process would help to formalize and bring this issue to the forefront.
And we did vote on who the members of that committee were.
That's
You're
correct.
just saying nothing's been organized for anyone to meet.
That's
Yeah.
correct. So if council is in general concurrence, I will work to set up a meeting of that committee and start the ball rolling.
I would-
Any discussion or questions, or disagreement with that approach?
Yeah, I thought the committee was all formed, and I thought they were on their way. Are we gonna depend on the manager to do this now? Is that what you're saying? This April? Are we gonna depend on him to do this now?
It's my understanding that Dave Morgan, our ordinance officer.
Dave Morgan, but you were appointed to head that
I'm the
committee.
council representative, I wasn't the
Oh.
head of it,
Okay, well,
remember?
So we have April, we have
I'm not
Luann.
comfortable with the manager spending a whole lot of time doing that. You know, a whole lot of time.
But it was originally formed.
Dave Morgan,
that
the ordinance
Allen
officer.
was gonna be a part of the committee.
In the original formation of it. I
He-
mean,
he
if council
doesn't
doesn't think the
necessarily-
blight and abandonment issue in the borough of Crafton is not important to council.
I think it's
That
very
is-
important.
that's not at
I think
all.
it's very important, but I don't think right now, because we have an interim manager that has so many other things to do. I mean, can it wait a few months until we get a steady manager in here, or can it just?
I mean, we just voted to demolish a building, I don't know why we're waiting to wait to roll the ball.
I have a couple of questions for
Well,
you.
we're moving on getting some things done, but
Okay, so the committee's been, has been appointed. We know who the committee members are. They need to meet. You need a list, I mean, what do we need to start with? What do you need to
John will
start
make
with in
3
order to
phone
get?
calls to the
Okay.
committee to set up a time to meet. Easy breezy. I don't know, what, 15 minutes of your time?
Right, so the committee was created by resolution 2013-13 that was effective on January 1 of this year. The members are April, Lillian Ryan, Duncan Penny, Dave Morgan, and Sam Strong. There was a property list that was assembled, I think it has 50 or so properties on it in 2013, but it really hasn't been updated or managed. So somebody needs to work with code enforcement and that committee to actively pursue those properties. And-
Okay, so it's safe to say that he could make those calls to get that first meeting set up. They can meet, talk about the properties. Dave Morgan is already our ordinance, the gentleman in charge of ordinance, so there's no reason why we couldn't move forward that isn't going to involve all of his time. Like, you're thinking he's going to be inundated with spending his time here. Yes, we do need him in other areas, but there's no reason why he can't pass that information off and let them get started. Agreed?
I think there will be some time as necessary from either the manager or from the code enforcement officer, additional above and beyond whatever either he or I are doing right now. So the question would be, once we can get this first meeting set up, the committee discusses it, we look at what needs to be done and quantify that, and then bring it back to council and say, do you want to move forward with having these staff persons spend this amount of time on blight and abandonment?
And at that point, we can make a decision further, how we want to move forward. I don't think we should stop. And we do have an ordinance person available, that should be his
should
responsibility.
maybe Dave be on that committee too, since he's the ordinance guy? Should he be on there?
We didn't appoint Dave, we appointed me.
Oh. Yeah, he's the ordinance guy, I don't know.
I'd be happy to give it to Dave. If that would make it go forward.
maybe it would.
quicker.
Maybe it would. Dave, would you be willing to take on that role?
I have faith in the committee, the people on the committee. I have faith in John, and I have faith in us evaluating the process as it moves forward, but it has to move forward first. I'd like to see it move forward. If there's any issues, then we can resolve it, whichever way, council sees fit.
Okay. Well, I'd just like to keep an eye on his time, that's all.
So I think,
And we will, and we will.
so I'll spend some time preparing, setting up this meeting, preparing for the meeting in terms of being able to explain to the committee what has or hasn't been done up to this point and how the borough is managing blight and abandonment. The committee can discuss what's happening, the properties that are on the list, then provide some direction about what they think we need to do to move forward, and we can quantify what that would take in terms of resources, bring that back to council, and you can collectively decide how you want to proceed.
Okay, thank you.
Agreed. Any other discussion? Moving on then to budget and finance. I'll entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2014-19, amending resolution number 2009-17, appointing the borough manager as Crafton Borough's primary voting delegate and council vice president as the alternate delegate to the Southwest Allegheny County Tax Collection Committee.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion.
Wait,
All-
I have a question. Can we explain to the public what this is and why we're doing it?
So when the earned income tax collection system changed effective January 1 of last year, a new process was set in place on a countywide basis to collect income tax and then distribute it to where it's owed to local municipalities. There's a committee structure that meets to represent each municipality and school district within that county that manages that process. This committee has a delegate and an alternate from each community, and ours, as per this resolution, would be the borough manager, and council vice president will be the alternate.
We talked about this at the last council meeting because our current ordinance has people's names in it. And we didn't want it to be a person's name. We wanted it to be a title so that whomever is in that spot is ultimately responsible. Or is the delegate and the alternate not. So we talked about that at the last meeting.
Have we had a discussion with the current delegate?
We will after tonight.
I've got one more question.
Sure.
Okay, say Ms. Amendola, your term's up, the next person coming in is vice president, what if they don't want it?
Well, I mean, if council's identifying that's a responsibility of the vice president, then they shouldn't accept the nomination for vice president.
And we also determined in last meeting that the delegate and/or the alternate should be part of the borough team, and not,
And part of the administrative function of the borough.
not a third party or a fourth party or an out.
Not just the resident.
Correct.
The school district's delegate is actually their business manager, Kirk Christie, so.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Moving on to Parks and Recreation. We have 2 board appointments. I'll entertain a motion to reappoint Linda Breeden to the Crafton Recreation Board for a 4-year term to expire September 30th, 2018.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I'll also entertain a motion to reappoint Susie Cozy to the Crafton Recreation Board for a 4-year term to expire on September 30th, 2018.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Moving on then to Public Works. Nothing. Public Safety, we also have nothing to report.
I have something. It's come to my attention, we're having some problems down on Steuben Street with that, the red light at West Crafton and Foster Avenue.